Welcome to lesson 9.2, cross sections of 3D figures. Now, before we get into what a cross section is, we should probably talk about what a 3D figure is. And that's just anything that has 3 dimensions. All right? Now, what we talked about in the last lesson was 2-dimensional figures. The 3-dimensional figures that you'll be talking about in geometry are these guys right here. This is the all-star lineup. You have rectangular solids, also known as prisms, cubes, which is just the same thing as a rectangular solid, but all the sides are squares, so all the sides are the same. A pyramid, a cylinder, a sphere, and a cone. All right, these are our 3D figures we'll be talking about. Now, some of these 3D figures you can get by rotating a 2D shape. Now, if that doesn't make any sense, that's probably because you need a visual. And, I can't do that on here, but you know what? I found a cool website that will show you that if I rotate 2-dimensional figures such as a triangle, a square, or a rectangle, and a circle, I can get a 3D figure. Now, before I do click this link and show you what this all means, I want you to think for a second. If I rotated this triangle, or this triangle, what 3-dimensional shape that you see up here would you get? Which one? So I rotate this guy. Which one of these 3-dimensional shapes would I get as a result? Try that also in your head with a rectangle and a square. What 3-dimensional shape do you think we would get? And then finally, if I rotated a circle, what 3-dimensional shape would I get that you see up here? All right? You might want to jot down your guesses here, see if you're right. So let's take a look. So here's a cool website that I found that animates what happens when you rotate a 2-dimensional shape. Okay? Now, if you follow me all the way here to the bottom, you'll see that it'll let us actually rotate a triangle or even a cylinder, or a rectangle. So look over here. This is a triangle, and you'll see I can rotate this triangle. See how this is a triangle. Do you see the triangle? If I rotate it, what shape am I creating by rotating it? By rotating this triangle around this axis, what shape am I creating? Well, you'd be right if you said a cone. This makes a cone. By rotating a triangle, you always get a cone. Look at that guy. Pretty cool, right? So let's go back to our notes. And when we write here, when I rotate a triangle, what do I get? I get a cone. That makes sense. Now, what happens when I rotate a rectangle? Okay. Well, luckily they have that also for us. You'll see here, when you rotate a rectangle around an axis, what shape is this? Well, this is a cylinder. Ooh, cool. Look what they do on the interwebs. You get all this cool stuff. So when you rotate a rectangle, which you see right here, you end up with a cylinder. So let's write that in. So when I rotate a rectangle or a square, I get a cylinder. All right, and if you really want to be good about it, maybe draw in what a cylinder looks like. Ooh, cylinder. Ooh, cone. Please draw better ones than me. And then the circle, I couldn't find this on the internet, but what do we think this makes? What 3-dimensional figure that we see up here will that make? Well, you'd be right if you said a sphere. That's right. And I can't even begin to draw a sphere. Let's get into cross sections of 3D shapes. A cross section of 3D shape, in a basic explanation, is if I take a 3D shape and I sliced it. If I took a knife and I sliced it, and what would the shape be when I sliced it? You see right here? If I slice this right open. What I'd like you to do, instead of having me kind of explain cross sections, which is just, remember, the shape you get when you slice a 3-dimensional figure. I'd like you to go and click the link under this video. You'll see it under the video, and you could watch a nice 2-minute video about cross sections. I want you to do that now. Pause my video. If you find that video, it should look, you'll see right here. It's this video right here, Math Shorts Episode 8. Watch that video about cross sections. It's going to be really helpful for you for understanding 3D shapes. All right? And when you're done, come back. I said go, watch that video, then come back. All right, well, now that you're back, hopefully you've watched that video, we can answer these questions. So right now we want to identify the cross section created from the following 3-dimensional shapes. So basically, when I cut these shapes as pictured, what shape do I result with? All right? So if you look here, when I cut this cone in the middle, which one of these shapes do I end up with? Do I get a square, a rectangle, a circle, or a triangle? Well, you can see here that if I cut this cone across like that, I end up with a triangle. All right? I mean, there's many ways to cut the cone, but if I cut it like this, I end up with a triangle. In this case, I have a pyramid, and I cut it as you see here, and it creates this shape, as you can see. So what shape did I end up with here? Well, it's not a pentagon, because it doesn't have 5 sides. It's not a trapezoid. I would say it looks like a square, right? A rectangle would mean it's longer than it is wide. In this case, I think the base is square, so this is also going to be square. Now for the next part, let's actually try drawing it ourselves. We're going to draw the cross section. Remember, that's just the shape created by cutting it of the following three-dimensional shapes. So I got this guy and I got this guy. So if I cut a sphere across, what do I get? Well, I'll tell you, you get a circle, right? If I cut a sphere in half, just like if I cut an orange, I would end up with a circle. If I cut a cylinder, as the way pictured here, what would this look like, this section? Well, I'll also tell you what you'd end up with is a rectangle, right? Because if you cut it straight down, the shape on the face of it would be a rectangle. All right, that's it for this lesson. I know what you're saying. That was easy. Hopefully it was. Or maybe you said that was hard. And I'm sorry if I just said it was easy. I didn't mean to offend you. Stay classy and go kiss your mother and tell you love her, as always.